Welcome to the Museum of History and Industry. My name is Leonard Garfield. It's my very special honor to welcome Mayor Harrell, City Council members, and city and civic leaders to MOHAI this morning. As a history museum in a city that is constantly making history, we at MOHAI know that the city you are helping to shape today will indeed be the history that we share here tomorrow. And the history you are making is part of a long, long story that stretches back to time immemorial and is still evolving. The land and the waters upon which we gather this morning are the historic and contemporary home of the Coast Salish people, whose displacement we acknowledge and whose endurance we honor. On this site was a Duwamish seasonal camp, and this was the very spot where David Denny built his pioneer timber mill. We sit beneath the wings of the very first commercial plane that Boeing ever built, made by men and women boat builders and sailmakers right here on Lake Union. And that rowing shell that you see there, that's the historic Husky Challenger, a reminder of the boys in the boat who proved that by pulling together, literally by pulling together, we can accomplish more than those who would tear us apart. And look down at the floor. This floor is where the greatest generation trained in the darkest days of World War II to win a war of democracy over tyranny, a struggle that echoes down through time to this very moment. And looking down on us on the galleries above are those beloved four amigos, how much we miss them. People who fought together to ensure that racial justice and an equitable community would be our future. Here, too, is the story of innovation, from groundbreaking advances in technology to life-saving advances in medicine, to exploring the farthest reaches of space. In all these areas, Seattleites, our remarkable city, has turned the once impossible into the now indispensable. And each year, more than 20,000 young people come to this museum to explore those very stories. And every young person, every day, joins us for free, discovering their role in our city and honing the critical skills of civic literacy, which are going to be our essential future. What they learn when they're here is that for generations, as today, Seattle's history has been filled with the promise of new opportunities, but it has always been tempered by the challenges of often difficult change. So as the city moves forward in 2024 toward the One Seattle, of which Mayor Harrell has spoken so powerfully, we know from our study of history that a community built on collaboration, a city of individuals willing to work together, will find new solutions, building on our shared history, yes, but never being bound by it, as we move toward a future that is strong, equitable, and sustainable. I look forward to the history that you will make today and all this year under the leadership of the mayor. And so now please join me in welcoming the mayor of Seattle, the Honorable Bruce Harrell.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to measure that and see if that's the same level of applause when I finish. Good morning and welcome to the 2024 State of the City Address. Leonard, thank you for letting us in your home, and many know Leonard Garfield, and there's just something about the name I like. I'm not sure what it is. For his decades of leadership, we chose this place among many to theme what we're trying to do, but also because if I screw it up, there's a getaway car right here that I'll zoom out of here on. But in all seriousness, thank you for being here at the Museum of History and Industry, affectionately known as MOHAI. Within these walls live an excellent narrative of where we've been, but most importantly, where we can go as we forge our future. As a global hub for innovation, new ideas, over the last several years, despite hardships and challenges, we've pushed forward. We've pushed forward with almost relentlessly. But we know there's so much more work to do. The state of our city, if one was to ask us, I would describe it as being persistent. pioneering. MOHAI chronicles our region's past and the ideas that brought us to sort of who we are, what we've come to be. As Winston Churchill famously said, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. You know, my wife sort of reminds me of that every day that I tell her I want to play basketball, come home with stitches and a hurt back. The lesson there being is we have to learn from our history. Since Seattle was incorporated over 150 years ago, we've gone through change and crisis, and each time responding with focus and ingenuity, with collaboration. In my first State of the City 2 years ago, I stressed a back-to-basics approach, a dedication to core municipal responsibilities like restoring public safety and getting people indoors and keeping parks accessible and fixing potholes and making sure the water's clean and the power comes on at the flick of a switch. But just because something is basic and essential does not mean that there's not room for innovation, creativity. We can make it work better. That's sort of our bottom line. Now, this requires us to be bold, to take chances. It's the reason that this mantra has allowed Seattle time and time again, and that's why we're here. We've looked at our history time and time again to pick ourselves up, back up, and change the course of our city, and in doing so, changing the world. You've heard me talk about that before. It's why our city punches way above its weight with companies that have changed how the world does business, with labor partners that have fought hard to shape nation-leading minimum wage increases and worker protections, and policymakers at the cutting edge of meaningful progressive change. And in this, what was once described as a sleepy former timber town on the ancestral lands of the Duwamish and Coast Salish people, our history tells us that it's innovation and new ideas that break through log jams and cultivate hope. Now, what does innovation mean? Innovation means a new community-assisted response and engagement department, a care department, to better help our neighbors in crisis, resulting in improved holistic approach to a diversified public safety system. Innovation means updating our industrial and maritime zoning policies for the first time in decades, resulting in a new path for thousands of housing units, tens of thousands of jobs, and Seattle's future as a port and maritime city. That's who we are. Innovation means updating our city's tree ordinance for the first time since its creation over 15 years ago, and issuing a tree executive order to guide our work, resulting in protections for over 150,000 additional trees, a requirement to replace 3 trees for every 1 tree removed, and plans to plant thousands more annually. That's a real commitment. What does innovation mean? Innovation means looking at a unique opportunity at Fort Lawton. We've sort of been examining that for a long time. Now we developed a plan to build up to 500 units and transform 34 underutilized acres into a new community and expanded parkland. This will last for generations. This is generation change we're creating. Innovation means piloting new electric freight trucks and replacing gas-powered leaf blowers and electric alternatives, resulting in fewer emissions and less noise and healthier communities. Now, to our returning city council members, I'm grateful for the work we've done over the last 2 years. To our new members, I am thrilled for what's next. This is my thrilled face. It sort of looks the same, but my giddy face. I'm proud of the ambition of your ideas. I've heard them, I've watched them, and the One Seattle model that will allow us to solve our greatest challenges and move Seattle into a future together. Now, one of the areas where I'm most energized to work with our new city council is public safety. Last year, overall crime fell 7%, major crime fell 6%, and property crime fell 10%. However, homicides and the damage inflicted from gun violence have increased. We have to change this. This will require supporting a comprehensive array of public safety solutions. The state's leadership to ban assault weapons last year is a significant step, and we are continuing to advocate for gun law changes in Olympia. Thanks for our team led by Gail Tarleton and others. Thank you. We have to move the needle in this respect. Last year, our officers recovered over 1,500 guns. 1,500, a record for our city. Now, I will repeat, there are too many guns in this country, on our streets, and in the wrong hands. We know this. We need to embrace new technologies funded in this year's budget to enhance the fair, effective, and constitutional policing of our officers. Last year, we as a city achieved sustained compliance with most requirements of the federal consent decree that began over a decade ago. United States Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark came to Seattle and recognized the progress on the reforms that we've made. The fact is, use of force occurs in less than 1/4% of all police encounters. That's our new police department. I'm proud of the work that our police officers do every day and grateful for their dedication. We will continue to build the trust and confidence that the people of Seattle rightfully demand of our police department. Thank you, Chief Diaz, for being here with us today. Note to self, I mentioned Chief Diaz in his first applause line here. Thank you, Chief Diaz. I'll keep inserting you in, apparently. In all seriousness, we are urgently recruiting more police officers who share our values. Our monthly applications are the highest they've ever been in 3 years. We have comprehensively reviewed our recruiting system, and we're continuing to make changes to processes that have not been changed or touched in decades. Now, I don't know if moving from paper to online applications count as innovation or just plain common sense, but either way, it's an example of the kind of steps needed to bring forward a new generation of officers who continue to serve our neighborhoods and represent our communities and keep us safe. I appreciate that Councilmember Bob Kettle is rightfully prioritizing this essential issue as the Council's new Public Safety Committee Chair. His six-pillar approach is a strong and good foundation. Of course, as a former player, I like going for 7. I like that extra point, so we may need to put a little extra 7th one on there at some point. But in all seriousness, your 6-point approach is strong. Our administration has regularly met with other branches of government to design public safety solutions just as important as all of you are the experiences of the public. So next month, I will hold a public safety forum to hear ideas and perspectives directly from the people of Seattle and give them a place at the table to allow us to make Seattle a safer place. Last year, we worked with our Seattle firefighters on a new contract that reflects the service that they provide, the outstanding service that everyone enjoys here in Seattle. And I want to recognize the members of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 27, and its President Kenny Stewart and Chief Scoggins and the entire Seattle Fire Department for your partnership for us to make a safe city. And I'll clap on that one myself. Note to self, Scoggins got a better applause than Diaz. I'm taking notes just for how I'm using these for next year here. As the son of 2 city employees, I look forward to further building our commitment to our workers and to being a great employer. As we deliver strong essential services for our residents and the work toward agreements with our labor partners, including the Coalition of City Employees and Police Officers and many others, we realize what a critical role our labor partners play, our employees play. I talk about One Seattle, I talk about a family of employees, and that's how we approach it. At last year's State of the City address, I announced a newly envisioned care department. Now, today our care department responders are redefining what public safety looks like. The care department are delivering new kinds of help and to support our residents who are experiencing behavioral health crises. This work frees up our police officers to address emergencies and priority 1 situations, particularly where they are most needed, given the demands on their time. Now, when I was a kid growing up in Seattle, believe it or not, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, there was no such thing as a 911 call in this country. Now, don't look too surprised. I see a few seasoned people out there as well. There was none when you were a kid as well. But today, in all seriousness, our 911 dispatchers are swiftly and efficiently sending care department responders to emergencies where they are most needed. And the feedback we're receiving is extremely positive. While handling over 250 incidents, only 3 times have our care teams had to ask police to return back to the scene. This is a great start. In fact, our data shows that in 2023, there were more than 8,000 911 calls where a care response may have been the best response. So that's why we plan on expanding the care department to increase capacity and help more people in their time of need. We'll continue to improve collaboration across the city's public safety programs, connecting previously siloed efforts and ensuring that our resources are used efficiently and effectively. But care isn't the only area where we're redefining and diversifying our public safety response. As we work to keep our parks open, I'm looking at Superintendent Diaz, the other Diaz, by the way, as soon as he looked at me. He's thinking, is the mayor going to mention parks sooner or later? I'm waiting for it. Here it is. As we work to keep our parks open, clean, and accessible and welcoming for everyone, we've boosted and bolstered our park ranger program. Park rangers had thousands of interactions with the public last year, as you well know, Director Diaz, and de-escalated over 400 potential 911 calls. That's just in downtown parks. In 2023, we increased our number of rangers by 600%, and this year we'll almost double that number, again, as rangers begin to serve parks citywide. We're very excited about this effort. Now, parks and community centers and play fields are the foundations for our growing young people and the difference makers for kids through healthy physical activity, healthy interaction. It exposes them to the natural world. No one knows this best other than Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth, who grew up on these play fields and understands better than most and shares my passion for public safety. After nearly a decade, it's wonderful for the LGBTQ plus community to have a representation on the City Council, especially in District 3 at a time when too many residents are feeling unsafe because of who they are. So, I don't know if that was for you or for what I said, Councilman. We'll take it either way. But let me be clear in all seriousness. No matter your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your religious, racial, or ethnic background, you are welcome in Seattle. You are Seattle. You are Seattle. You belong. This is my priority as your mayor. I grew up in Seattle where I was not always welcome as a little biracial kid in the Central District. My father used to warn me about going to certain areas. Trust me when I say I get it. We will welcome, we will love, we will embrace. And I see the issues in front of us for those who feel excluded. I am proud to be your mayor and have every member a part of our city family. This is also true for people who are sick, who are struggling, who are in need of help. Whenever I see someone needing help on our streets, I want to see them getting it. Seattle streets cannot be paved with good intentions or paved with lives of despair or crime. They must be filled with help and support, and the change we push must be sustainable. These cannot be one-offs. Since last year, we have taken strong action to address the deadly impacts of fentanyl and synthetic opioids in our city. The executive order that I issued last year set out a roadmap for a diversified approach, balancing enforcement with expanded systems of care and treatment. We've created new programs to address the harms caused by addiction and have increased the tools available to our first responders. This is the balance that we struck. This is why we developed a drug use ordinance rooted in both accountability and a connection to services to get well. This ordinance, crafted under a One Seattle approach, quite honestly, we did the hard work. We brought together law enforcement, service providers, outreach workers, impact communities, experts, and we built the most comprehensive and progressive ordinance of its kind in the state. That's what we're doing here in Seattle. With our dual public safety and public health approach, SBD seized an estimated 2 million deadly fentanyl pills and is arresting dealers, traffickers, and those causing the most harm. We've also diverted nearly 150 people to caseworkers and service providers, giving people a chance to get the help that they need outside of the criminal legal system. The needs we're seeing on the streets have resulted in action. We've developed new and innovative public health programs and services in an area where the city has not historically had a leading role. Our actions include our new Health 999 post-overdose response team, our expanded mobile medication delivery for opioid use disorders, and our new contingency management drug abatement program. And next month, we'll share the details of our $7 million investment funding a post-overdose center and health facilities that will offer new ways to help people recover in their time of need. Now, these programs, in short, these programs will save lives. I want to thank Council President Sarah Nelson for her leadership to address this synthetic drug crisis that is killing hundreds of people on our streets. She's been a strong advocate for investing in proven treatment solutions, and I want to publicly thank you and say, nice article today, too, by the way. I applaud the work that you are bringing with your leadership to the focus to the King County Board of Health, a body that I'm also joining to underscore the critical importance of these issues. I'm grateful for our partnership with the King County Executive, Dow Constantine, and the King County Council, and I look forward to continuing our work together to innovate and adapt programs to meet the moment, to meet the issue of the day. And just as the city and the county and the state came together to save lives during the COVID pandemic, we must bring the same resolve to the crisis playing out on our streets. That same intensity. We have to work with the same sense of intentionality. We know we have an opportunity to address the root causes of safety issues and build a city where opportunity is within the reach of every resident. That's why in 2023, we put into action our Future of Seattle Economy agenda, a strategy to promote inclusive economic growth, ensuring Seattle is a place for entrepreneurial workers and entrepreneurs and employees where a person can start and scale a business or find a good job. Our Office of Economic Development expanded access to capital for nearly 300 businesses. We launched a first-in-the-nation program for a model of small businesses, business ownership, and increased access to middle-wage jobs in growing industries like healthcare. Much needed. And under an executive order I issued last year, our government has taken tangible steps to expand contracting equity and to support small businesses run by women and people of color. Another example is the Liberty Project. This is a partnership, a coordinated effort that we're investing in to make sure that the University of Washington and the Shell University and Tabor 100 are working together to help businesses. No more of a siloed approach. We've made improvements in how small businesses navigate the city, like shaving 105 days of the average time it takes for a business to have their first permit review. And our Seattle Restored program continues to fill formerly vacant storefronts with small businesses, artists, and pop-ups, some of which have turned into long-term leases. Just last week, we announced $200,000 investment from J.P. Morgan Chase to help turn many of the 30 locations into long-term leases. These are sustainable investments. Thank you, J.P. Morgan Chase, for partnering with us on these efforts. It should be clear that our downtown activation plan doesn't fixate on trying to revive the old downtown. Instead, we aim to reimagine what a downtown could be. Our plan centers on 46 short and medium-term initiatives, and in less than 1 year, we've made headway on 83% of them. We announced it, we measured, we implemented. Our downtown activation plan is gaining momentum as we activate downtown. Here are some statistics. More than 106,000 residents are now living downtown. Over 80,000 workers come to their offices Monday through Friday. Let me repeat that, Monday through Friday. The highest number of hotel rooms sold in summer since 2019. That's what we were able to achieve. And a record-shattering 2023 summer with over 11 million visitors downtown, 3 million of which came in July for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game and major concerts. Heck, when Taylor Swift was here, she even caused an earthquake, and you all remember that. And if you think that was fun, wait until the 2026 FIFA World Cup when it gets here. This is the equivalent. Of 6 Super Bowls played in our city over the course of 3 weeks. Seattle will welcome hundreds of thousands of visitors around the world, with over 1 billion people watching from around the world. This city here in Seattle, and we will be ready. Now, speaking of sports, now that I'm finally over my trauma of the Huskies losing the national championship, well, not quite over the trauma, still a little traumatized, I'm ready to add another point to our 46 points of our downtown activation plan, bringing the Sonics back. Got Chris Daniels' attention over there when I said that. I saw he was sleeping up until then. He perked up all of a sudden. NBA teams are already choosing to play preseason games right here, and that's a clear sign that Seattle Center and Climate Pledge Arena are ready for NBA action. We stand ready to do whatever it takes to bring back the green and gold, and we all know we have won championships here before, and we will again. And Chris, that's all I'm giving you right now. It's just a teaser, Chris, but we stand at the ready. In all seriousness, 2024 is a huge year for Seattle's new waterfront, a prime example of what we called when we first took office as Space Needle thinking. 500,000 visitors came to the waterfront last year. Now, after more than 2 decades of collaboration between civic, business, and community leaders, we are well on our way to completing our world-class waterfront, a waterfront that is reimagined, open, accessible, green, and activated. Next year, we get to celebrate this historic completion together. Now, arts and culture are an important part of our downtown activation plan as part of our identity as a city. We rely on artists and arts organizations to energize and bring life to our public spaces and to support surrounding businesses. The arts draw people, brings out the best in us, making Seattle a place where people want to visit and linger and live. King County's new arts measure will invest $90 million to revive the creative economy as our Office of Arts and Culture work to beautify spaces and support lively activities downtown. So my vision, I should be clear on this, is a Seattle where our walls are filled with beautiful murals and public art. This is also a pillar of our holistic strategy to address the impacts of unwanted graffiti tagging and vandalism. Thank you to City Attorney Ann Davison for your work on this issue, including your work to ensure accountability for those causing harm to our residents and neighbors. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann. I'm proud to describe the positive change neighbors are seeing from our efforts in partnership with Uplift Northwest relative to graffiti. They employ formerly homeless people to ensure to learn new work skills, ensure that we're doing this abatement work and to clean up graffiti across downtown. Here, some description of what city staff has done. City staff worked on 27,000 graffiti removals at 23,000 locations in 2023. The Uplift Northwest partnership yielded an additional 385 private property locations. In total, we've cleaned up over 100,000 square feet of graffiti. New energy, new intensity, new willingness to clean up our city in so many ways. From Soto to the Chinatown International District, our downtown we know is a very special place because it's diverse. It's diverse in how we describe the place, in its people, in its industry, in its jobs, making these neighborhoods safe and activated for small businesses and community members remains one of our priorities. Councilmember Tanya, thank you for your work and congratulations to the City Council. I so look forward to working together on initiatives citywide and for lasting improvements for our cherished Chinatown International District. Congratulations, Councilmember Wu. From South Lake Union, where we're standing today, all the way to South Downtown, where, we believe that now is the time to create an urban development vision for a new kind of neighborhood, running south of Columbia, north of Holgate, east to Little Saigon, west to Pier 48. I know I'm very descriptive there because we will advance a very coordinated, targeted growth strategy within this footprint. With several major projects on the way, it's a rare alignment that gives us a unique opportunity we haven't seen in decades to design and foster a new neighborhood that demonstrates that downtown is for everyone. So when I talk about big ball in our administration, this is it, a chance to significantly increase people living downtown with affordable housing and grocery stores and childcare and high-quality jobs, a diverse and vibrant small businesses, and indeed cultural spaces. All of this action calls for a cohesive approach to align outcomes and make sure that decisions are made in sync across many projects. Our downtown activation plan also includes innovative efforts to transform underutilized office space into residential uses and other uses, optimizing our built environment for the current needs of a modern city. So next month, my office will deliver legislation to the City Council to turn this big idea into a reality through permitting improvements and incentives based on insights from architects and building owners and housing leaders and housing advocates. And even as we've changed the building uses and encouraged more residential skyscrapers and support significant growth downtown, we know that growth can't only occur downtown. We are aware of this. Seattle must be a city for students and teachers and workers and indeed our families, for people of all income levels. And as I've said before, we know the answer to homelessness starts with more housing and places for people to come inside. That's why within the next 2 weeks we'll release the details of our One Seattle Comprehensive Plan update. And this is our master plan for growth. It's just one part of a bold One Seattle housing agenda that allows new kinds of housing across the city and brings missing middle housing to every neighborhood and expands density citywide with a focus on areas where there is strong transit, access, close to shopping and other services and other amenities that indeed families want. My housing agenda will create opportunities for new generational wealth, simplified nearly 300 separate zoning categories, and create complete neighborhoods and reduce permitting timelines and other barriers to development. The state of Washington took an important step in asking every city to do its part and make it easier to build affordable, family-friendly housing. But Seattle is already leading the way. The housing agenda, this housing agenda that I'm describing will not only adopt the spirit of these changes, but continue to point the way forward for our entire region. I look forward to working with Councilmember Tammy Morales, a former planner herself, I might add, on the comprehensive plan update as we work to create this much-needed housing. We are making the largest investments in affordable housing in our city's history. 1,400 units opened last year, and another 7,600 are in the pipeline. And thanks to the voters who approved a significant renewal of our proven housing levy, we will build at least 3,100 more affordable homes. In our first year, I described a goal of ensuring permit approval in less than 1 year for affordable housing projects. In 2023, we overwhelmingly met that goal. More housing, simply put, more housing more quickly. Now, our approach to the homelessness crisis reflects a back-to-basics approach to a belief rooted in compassion. We believe that those suffering deserve better than living outdoors and that public spaces like parks and sidewalks should be safe and accessible for everybody. Our innovation was the creation of the Unified Care Team, a proof positive idea that we can achieve progress on each of these ideals without sacrificing the other. We created a state-of-the-art system that informs a data-driven, objective, and equitable approach to resolving encampments for those living in them and for the neighbors where they are located. The results are significant. Since the foundation of the Unified Care Team, we've increased shelter referrals by 83%. Over 1,000 people have come indoors. And tents on sidewalks and in parks have been reduced by half, from over 1,000 when I first took office. Now, this is an approach that's safer for everyone. It's delivered a 41% decrease in gun violence incidents related to homelessness and a 16% decrease in fires at encampments or lived-in RVs. Again, as I started my words, we seek to learn from our history. The latest example is the launch of a dedicated neighborhood team approach for each region of the city, allowing them to build personalized relationships with the communities in the neighborhoods and the people housed and unhoused to help them come inside. Councilmember Maritza Rivera recognizes that this level of neighborhood-based constituent service makes a big difference for our Seattle neighborhoods. She's made school safety and constituent service a top priority since taking office. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. But just as our departments can't work in silos to make progress on the homelessness crisis, neither can the cities that make up King County. As with any new organization or innovation, the King County Regional Homelessness Authority has taken steps forward, but indeed there have also been bumps along the road. So this year we will drive needed changes to improve oversight and accountability and foster stronger regional collaboration and solutions. A regional approach means that there is permanent supportive housing and services in every community in our region, not just in Seattle. Councilmember Kathy Moore dove in headfirst to her role as Housing and Human Services Committee Chair and as a member of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority Governing Committee, and I know she'll be a strong partner in this effort. I'm similarly looking forward to working with Council Member and Transportation Committee Chair Rob Saka as we work to build a transportation system that meets the needs of our residents no matter how they get around. Part of our commitment to making Seattle safer and Seattle government more responsive to neighbors will be our investment in our roads, bridges, sidewalks, and transit infrastructure. In the coming weeks, I will share a set of plans that will form the foundation of our transportation levy renewal package, in which we will ask the people of Seattle to help address the infrastructure needs in our city. As with every levy ask, we want to balance the critical needs in our neighborhoods with the financial concerns and impact of our neighbors. This means we are taking a hard look at the priorities people are sharing with us from across the city. Our ability to deliver on these priorities and the timelines to get them done will be critical in how we go about passing this levy. Here's what I'll be presenting. First, a focus on the basics, repaving and reconstructing arterials and neighborhood roadways in poor condition, replacing signage and striping, and filling even more potholes. And Councilmember Saka, also known as the king of potholes, we know that's music to your ears. Fixing bridges, upgrading safety and functionality in ship canal crossings, as well as safety upgrades and improvements to other aging infrastructures. Taking climate action, planting more roadway trees, expanding electrification, and improving connectivity to and within our city to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Improving safety, taking an equity and safety approach to sidewalk construction and improvements, making sure our kids get to school safely and to their activities safely, seniors could get to their care and their services, people of all ages can go shopping and transit and other amenities safely. Pedestrians, cyclists, and transit riders are all examples of those who demand and deserve safety, and that will be a pillar of our approach. This is our opportunity for for a dialogue with the people of Seattle to help refine and align these investments and programs, and then present a final package to Council this spring for referral to the. So as we look at these investments in light rail to Ballard and West Seattle, we must meet the mobility needs of current residents and prepare for the future growth and change. Now, we can do this by improving on the basics today, but also by laying a strong foundation for the future. And as we continue to fight the climate crisis, we recognize transportation is not the only source of carbon emissions. Buildings contribute nearly 40% of Seattle's greenhouse gas emissions. So last year, we advanced nation-leading policy legislation through our Building Emissions Performance Standard. This is a pathway to eliminating fossil fuel in hundreds of large buildings citywide, reducing building emissions by 27% and cutting overall greenhouse emissions by 10%, and creating new green union jobs. I'm already hearing from mayors in other cities who are looking forward to our legislation as they build their own models to tackle the crisis. One of the many ways Seattle continues to be a national and global climate leader. This year, we're bringing a renewed focus to decarbonizing residential homes across the city, creating healthier living spaces for people and a healthier environment for all of us. When I took office, Director Justin Farrell and the Office of Sustainability and Environment identified climate pollution in residential homes as a top issue, and they set an ambitious 2030 goal of transitioning homes off dirty and expensive heating oil. We are accelerating efforts to help even more low and moderate income households transition from oil heating to clean and energy efficient heat pumps. We'll also launch new rebates and no-cost conversions for households to transition from fossil fuels to efficient electric appliances, heat water pumps and heaters, and electric induction stoves. Now, these innovations will help thousands of households save on utility costs, support better indoor air quality, and reduce climate pollution. In the coming months, you will hear more about partnerships made possible by the state of Washington's Climate Commitment Act to boost our work and speed up timelines. And I want to thank Governor Jay Inslee for his stalwart climate leadership, and we look forward to announcements here in the very near future. Our approach to innovation extends to even the most basic of our city functions, how residents access our services. Something as simple as that in our administration identified as where we can improve. In 2023, we officially launched CiviForm. Now, CiviForm is a tool that focused on removing barriers and making it easier for low-income families to apply for city programs and savings. We launched 8 programs offering qualified Seattleites over $23,000 in savings on living expenses such as child care or transit and groceries. Instead of needing to fill out multiple applications multiple times for different programs, we created a single application, one site, one-stop shopping kind of approach, and it's working. So far, nearly 5,000 residents have applied to city programs in their preferred language in under 5 minutes. Some of these residents are applying for multiple discounts, and CiviForm is making it easier and faster for Seattle residents to get benefits that they already qualified for. So this year, we're accelerating this work you may recall my Affordable Seattle Executive Order to bring online an additional 15 city programs. Now, this will offer up to $63,000 in savings for families that need it the most. This innovation was made possible because of our public-private philanthropic partnerships that we've developed, in this case with Google.org and Exigy. And our collaborative work on these kinds of issues is now scaling to other cities and states around the country. Last month, CiviForm was honored with a Silver Anthem Award. Now, this award recognizes excellence in products dedicated to advancing humanitarian action and services. Now, the last serious challenge I will highlight requires both commitment and new thinking. That, of course, is our budget, with a deficit forecasted near $250 million. The size of this deficit means we will have difficult financial decisions ahead. And while there are some who would suggest that the answer lies in new revenue, the fact is that passing a new or expanding tax would not address the fundamental issues needed to close this gap in the long run. Without changes to how we budget, without changes with how we think about budgeting, this problem will occur again and again and again for the city for years to come. Delivering a sustainable, balanced budget is a basic responsibility of city government. This is us at our best. However, now is not a time for despair. I reject notions of austerity. Instead, this is a chance to hit reset, revise our budgeting practices, and to double down on the programs, projects, and policies that are effective and making the most difference for the people of Seattle. It will be data-driven, guided by the city's first One Seattle data strategy and an executive order I issued last year to optimize the use of data to make better, clearer financial decisions based on our values. Our pace of spending requires a system-wide analysis of every expense stream and line of business, as well as a granular analysis of every dollar spent. We do this from the bottom up with our employees and our labor partners and our community, and from the top down with our cabinet and the city council. Now, make no mistake about it, this work is hard. It's hard, but it must be done. But this approach will ensure that we have a well-run, efficient, and effective city government in the future. By being more deliberate in how we spend, our investments go further and make a greater impact. Greater impact for the people that matter the most, our residents. Now that's the opportunity we have in front of us. This work will not be possible without the help of Councilmember and Budget Chair Dan Strauss. Councilmember Strauss has been a strong partner for our administration since day one. And it's because of his collaborative style that I know we can make headway on this challenge together in a very collaborative way. With a new city council, we must admit there is a new level of expectation for the city. We don't run away from high expectations. In fact, we draw energy from them. As a newly elected body, each city council member will push their own agenda as they should. I say in my office that powerful rivers are formed by many streams. That is how we will overcome our obstacles together. See, One Seattle is never meant we go along to get along. That's not what we mean. Since the very first day of my administration, we've never stopped working with someone just because they disagreed with us or they saw things differently. Instead, we are relentless in our efforts to find common ground and to turn that into a common cause. Now, we brought this principle to life by uniting over 4,000 Seattleites through the One Seattle Day of Service, yet another example of how we can bring creativity to execute on one of our community's core values, giving back. Now, I hope to see everyone there this year for our third annual Day of Service. Shameless plug, May 18th. Get your T-shirt. Our job as civic leaders and political leaders are always trying to bring out the best in everyone. I'm proud of the work that we've done together. Now, I wish 2024 will be the best year in Seattle's history. This is my closing thought. I wish 2024 will be the best year in Seattle's history, but wishing is not a plan. It has been said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So all of those here with me today, let's create new approaches and new ideas in a learning environment. In a learning environment, one's goal should not to be seen as the smartest in the room. One's goal should be to learn the most. And from learning comes leading. So many aspiring politicians, they didn't get that. It's not to be seen as the smartest, but to learn the most. Our pioneering spirit is evidenced by what we see here. And by the way, you're free to roam the the beauty here after this powerful speech that I just delivered. Seattle's pioneering spirit will elevate us to a better tomorrow. Our goal of building one Seattle is rooted in everything we will create together. Everything. One Seattle. And I want to thank you for being part of it. Thank you very much.